Caroline, just stand by. We're seeing some movement right now. These are live pictures coming into us in New York City, and we have Natalie Dudridge from WCBS New York who's on the ground there. Maybe, Eric, we can get Natalie up to talk to us what is actually happening there. We see some people moving up to oh, here comes the mayor. Here comes Mayor Eric Adams. He's about to make a public statement, folks. Let's bring it to you right now.
This is not a black day. This is a youth day. This is a youth day, Eric Adams. This is not a black day. Your policies are anti-black. You are a disgrace to all black people in this city. The things that you have done are unconscionable. You hurt our schools. Our streets are dirty. Our children are harassed by the police. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You can shush me all you want, but the people are with us. And this is not a black day. This is a justice day.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here this morning. And I want to thank the supporters of all ethnic groups that are here, particularly the men and women of the clergy that's here, that have joined me here today. And we are not surprised. We expected this. This is not surprising to us at all. The actions that have unfolded over the last 10 months, the leaks, the commentary, the demonizing, this did not surprise us that we reached this day. And I ask New Yorkers to wait to hear our defense before making any judgments. In about 30 minutes, you're going to hear a story of the case that is in front of us. This story will come from the federal prosecutors. And I ask to wait and hear our side to this narrative. From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do. And the 300,000 plus employees of our city government will continue to do their jobs, because this is what we do as New Yorkers. It's an insult to the hardworking people of the city that anyone would say that they won't do their jobs while this case proceeds in the background. They are dedicated public servants, and I have been one of them for many years, and they're going to continue to do their job, moving the city forward every day. It's an unfortunate day, and it's a painful day. But inside of all of that, it's a day when we will finally reveal why for 10 months I have gone through this. And I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city as I've done throughout my entire professional career. That's right. I want to now turn it over to the person who started me on this journey, Reverend Herbert Daughtry.
Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You are our mayor, and will be to time come, still will be our mayor to all the supporters. Irrespective of what people say, he's still our mayor. Amen. As he has indicated, we started on a journey a long time ago. I encouraged him to join the police department. He did, and you know the rest of the story. So, you know, Mr. Mayor, Eric, it's one more battle we have to fight.
That's right.
There's one more battle we have to fight. And we're not about to quit. We're not about to give up. We'll be there. We'll be there to the end. God bless you. God be with you. We're going to win this fight.
And two, let me get an umbrella, put it on the device so the water won't get inside there, Robbie. Wait, hold on one moment. Hold on. You know we don't do this calling out stuff at my press conferences. When we finish speaking, we will respond to a few questions. We just want to cover that. Are you good, Robbie? I affectionately call her Mother Dukes. Has been a head of the NAACP and just a leader that has mentored me throughout my entire journey. I want to now come call her Mother Hazel Dukes.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Hazel Dukes. I live in Harlem. I'm 90. Would you be quiet? Would you shut up? I'm 92 years of age. I've known this young man for over 40 years. I come with a heavy heart today, but my head is not unbowed. He's going to have his day in court, and we're going to stand by him. We came this morning to pray for him, because prayer changed things. I am asking all New Yorkers to hear his side, to let him have a day in court. Let him have his day in court, and then we can make our decisions. But we are not here today to criticize the federal government where you might be, but shush. That's all you do. That's all you brought here to criticize. Yeah. We are going to be here. We're going to be here.
I'm sorry, Mother Duke. Hey, brother, this is a 92-year-old elder. Show us some respect. A 92-year-old elder.
She stands next to you. She stands next to Cuomo. As the NAACP, as the
Mother Duke.
501c3, you should not be standing for a political candidate. Stop that. You're always in favor. You are always in favor of the
Go ahead, Mother Duke.
Don't respond to them.
Go ahead, Mother Duke.
We are calling on all New Yorkers to listen carefully, not to the loudmouths, but listen to facts and figures. His lawyers will go and do our work for us, and we will stand with this mayor. Right.
Thank you. We want to now bring one of our amazing bishops up forward now. Bishop.
An incredibly surreal moment happening right now at Gracie Mansion right here in New York City. The Gracie Mansion being the residence of the mayor of New York. There you see the mayor surrounded by supporters, including members of the clergy, and sounds like a lot of protesters as the mayor steps up to that podium to what we expect would be an address of this federal indictment. The federal indictment that charges the mayor of New York City with bribery and fraud. This is the first time that a New York City mayor has been indicted under such circumstances by the federal government in its nearly 400-year history. I say surreal because the mayor is seemingly putting up these folks who are supportive of him without actually addressing the charges that the federal government is indicted him with. So we're keeping an eye on that when he actually does take some questions from members of the press, or he actually speaks to the charges. We'll bring that to you live. My colleague Errol Barnett is in Studio 57 right here at the CBS News Broadcast Center. He is watching all of this unfold with me. Errol, again, the federal government suggesting in after a very lengthy corruption investigation that the mayor is now under indictment for bribery and fraud, and the charges are wide-ranging, having to do with illegal monies that he received from foreign governments in exchange for favors, which is the very definition of corruption, Errol.
Yeah, Vlad, earlier you were saying that, from your memory, this seems historic. It absolutely is. This is the first time a sitting mayor of New York City has been indicted. And when you look at the charges that were just unsealed a short time ago, the government is confident in its case, and the charges are extensive. Thank you for your coverage. We continue here on CBS News 24/7 with every development in this fast-moving story. Right now, you're watching supporters of the mayor defend him, but on your screen, you're seeing what we are digesting at this moment, what the federal government says the sitting mayor of New York City did in illegally accepting money from foreign governments, using that to bolster his campaign and put him in a position of power here in New York City. I'm joined on set by CBS News senior coordinating producer for crime and public safety, Anna Schecter, who has also been watching this unfold this morning. Anna, you told us at around 7 a.m. that we should expect this, and we weren't sure if the indictment would be unsealed. Tell me the headline, the major item that jumps out to you. It seems to be the amount of money that the mayor is alleged to have misused in his campaign to become mayor.
That's right. A whopping $10 million in public funds. That's funds that were supposed to go to New Yorkers, and the government of New York City actually went to his mayoral campaign in 2021, according to federal prosecutors. That's just been unsealed in this indictment. So that is a huge number. And the way that they allege he did this was through straw donors. So it's not just hedge funds and billionaires giving him money. It's actually foreign entities tied to the Turkish government specifically giving money through other people to amass this huge amount of money. He also used a New York City matching program. So that helped balloon this number that ballooned to $10 million that he allegedly illegally received for his campaign. There's also a lot of detail in this indictment about flights that he took, business class upgrades, hotel suites in Istanbul, and we're not talking about flights, around the state. These are international flights that he got. And what the government needs to prove in court is that it was a quid pro quo. And so what they lay out is what they wanted, which was a quick and easy approval by the fire department for a skyrise for the Turkish consulate that prosecutors alleged Adams pushed through and pressured the fire chief for this. There have been a lot of rumors swirling around. We were aware of a lot of these allegations, but it's fascinating to see this laid out in a narrative that we can read. And this looks like a more than 3 years long investigation that U.S. Attorney Damian Williams has been carrying out. So there are a lot of details in here, and a lot of details included. We don't always see this level of detail, but it's fascinating.
And that's part of why I made the point that the federal government doesn't bring these charges lightly. You would not bring such serious charges against a sitting mayor of the biggest city in the country unless you were confident in your case. I have the indictment in my hands, and it is thick. It seems as heavy as a book. It is extremely detailed. I just want to show that to our viewers. This isn't like a simple page. It's multiple pages, this indictment. And I think we also have another live shot we're tracking for you of the Southern District of New York, which itself is expected to address the public, address the press, take questions, and lay out their case as they see it against the mayor. You're seeing that now on the right hand of your screen. As soon as it happens, we will bring it to you live. On the left, you're seeing supporters of Mayor Adams, who has yet to directly speak to what was in this indictment. He has generally said he is innocent. He denies these charges, but we do expect once he's in a courtroom and once his team gets in front of a judge to hear the specifics of how and why he's innocent. Again, the federal government says he's guilty, and they seem to have extensive evidence showing as much. We're also joined by CBS News contributor Rebecca Roife, who has been watching this all unfold. And Rebecca, it's a remarkable moment in American history as we all watch now for each side to make its case. We know what the federal government is charging. What jumps out to you at this moment? The mayor has not mentioned specifics yet. And in fact, Rebecca, stand by for us, because I think the mayor might now take questions. Let's listen to what he's saying.
Last night with regard to speaking out about the migrant crisis. Exactly who in the federal government, White House, did you say is targeting you for speaking out? We're talking about the Biden administration, or we're talking about Homeland Security? So who are we talking about specifically with regard to that, and the first time you actually read this indictment today?
I think that your second question, I think you need to ask the federal prosecutors who gave the directive in the orders. I don't know. We should ask them who gave the directive in orders that we're going to take on and create this group of lies. They have the answer to that question. When it comes down to reading it, I peruse through it to get the top lines. The attorneys are going to dig into the crevices of it, but it is clear. Everyone that knows me knows I follow campaign rules and I follow the law. That is how I lived my life, and I don't see coming into the 60s and my age to all of a sudden change what I've done all the time. I follow the law and I follow the campaign rules.
Thank you!
After a couple of weeks, some like 4 or 5 people from your staff have resigned. After today, don't you feel afraid that more people are going to keep resigning and you're going to have some problems dealing with the city?
No. Listen, we I think that people fail to properly realize that we have over 300,000 dedicated employees. Over 300,000. Those who decided to transition and do some more things with their lives, many of them told me ahead of time they were going to do that. But we have an amazing, credible team of dedicated New Yorkers, and they're going to continue to do that. I think that's what's going to surprise everyone. 10 months ago, when my phones were removed, like today it was about my phones. Same thing that happened 10 months ago. Today was about my phones. Let's get clear on that. When they removed my phones 10 months ago, people said that all of a sudden the city was going to collapse. It was not going to move forward. Look what has happened over 10 months. Over 10 months, more jobs in the city history, more small businesses open, decreasing crime. You're seeing over and over again success over and over again. So we're going to continue to prosper. We're going to continue to move forward, and we're looking forward to that in the city. Yes. How are you doing? Yes. Well, listen, I think that when you do an analysis, and all of you have covered this, it is a felony to release a grand jury communications. That's a felony. So you can't break the law to enforce the law. And when you look at the drip of information, when you look at our cooperation, our attempts to sit down and cooperate, when you look at what has taken place, there's been a narrative of giving the appearance that there was something improper that's done and it was just wrong. No, well, I think we should ask again, as I stated earlier. We should ask those who are conducting this investigation. We should ask them who gave the directive to carry out what we have witnessed over the last 10 months. Over the last 10 months, you knew information before my attorneys knew information over the last 10 months. You reported that there was an indictment before my attorneys knew that there was an indictment. Over the last 10 months, this has happened over and over again, and this is not how our system of justice should operate.
You support law enforcement.
Yeah.
You support the feds.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Yes.
Mayor, the indictment has been unsealed. Now we know the federal government is looking into your campaign and supposed influences into your campaign when you decided to be mayor.
Yes.
But you have suggested publicly that now you are a target of the federal government because of sticking with New York, meaning maybe that you're talking about the migrants. Can you clarify that point?
I think I did. I think we should ask the federal investigators and prosecutors who gave the directive to take the actions that we are witnessing right now. I have ran many campaigns. I have been part of many campaigns. And the scrutiny of those campaigns always revealed the same thing. I follow the rules. I follow the law. I do not do anything that's going to participate in illegal campaign activity, and I will not do that. And I've instructed, not only in writing, but in verbal conversations to the team, we do not participate in straw donors. We do not participate in foreign donors. We know what those rules are, and we comply with those rules. And I think that my attorneys are going to reveal that as we move forward.
So what was with your co-conspirator that said you delete all the messages?
Mayor, who is your point person dealing with major city businesses? You deal with this. That's number one. And number two, is there any circumstance by which you would resign?
No, listen, I'm here. I was elected by the people of this city, over 700,000 strong. Absolutely. And this is a city that is extremely resilient. This is a city that we have gone through some difficult and hard times, and we're going to continue to move forward as a city. And that's what that's shown. I think the narrative here that's missing, 10 months ago when my phones were removed, we have not gone backwards. We have not stood still. We showed how we operate during difficult times. And when you say who's the point person that's going to deal with business communities, who's going to deal with the business of running the city, the point person is Eric Adams. I'm the mayor of the city of New York. And I have a competent team, of deputy mayors, a competent team of people who are going to continue to lead forward. And we're excited about that. Okay, go ahead, Katie. Yeah.
Say this is retaliation for speaking out against the migrant crisis, but according to the indictment, it dates back to your 2021 campaign, the name of co-conspirator, you said you deleted messages from. I mean, the allegations seem to go in line with what we've been reporting for at least a year, almost a year. What do you say to that? I mean, you said you traveled to these countries. Do you deny that you took any kickbacks from these countries? Do you deny that you intervened on behalf of
What is your
the
question?
government?
Yeah, that's an elaborate question. Listen, my legal team. Thank you. My legal team is going to peruse the entire indictment. We got it today. When it was released, the news media received information before we did, as they have been receiving for the last 10 months. It appears as though the goal is to try this case publicly and not in the criminal justice system that's in place. And so based on what I read, it's clear that if it's campaign violations, I know I don't violate the campaign. That's right. If it's foreign donors, I know I don't take money from foreign donors. And I verbalize that to the team, both in writing and both in communication. And we will continue to do that. And we look forward for the legal team to handle this as I handle the city of New York and continue the success that we've witnessed in the last 2 years and 9 months as the mayor of the city of New York. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You are watching CBS News 24/7's continuing coverage of this breaking development. The mayor of New York City, defiant, denying the allegations from the federal government that he has been accused of bribery and conspiracy and a real widespread misuse of campaign funds in order to secure his position as mayor and his election. And then once he was mayor, says the federal government, he then continued to offer favors to those who put him, in their words, in office. He says that he follows campaign laws, he follows the rules. He did not participate in violating campaign finance laws either. And he says he will say as much in front of a judge as this case unfolds. On the right of your screen, you're seeing a live shot of the Southern District of New York, where the federal government will speak to the indictment that was just unsealed approximately 1 hour ago. I'm Errol Barnett at Studio 57. I'm joined by Anna Schecter, who's been looking through all of this information. And Anna, as we were watching this, you kind of had a reaction to the mayor saying, I'm completely innocent. I follow campaign finance laws. He also says he doesn't participate in this straw polling, which is outlined in the indictment. Why is that such a significant denial from your point of view, based on the evidence you've seen and that CBS News has obtained? It's a
flat-out denial of exactly the charge that is laid out in great detail in the indictment. So I think we both just sort of jumped like, whoa, that's exactly what they've laid out, and they have a lot of information about who was contributing the money, who were the straw donors, and there's also been reporting over the last year about people who were questioned, who were cooperating with this federal investigation, specifically pertaining to straw donors to his mayoral campaign in 2021. The other thing that's interesting about the indictment is some of the allegations go back to 2017 and 2018, and these perks, it sort of tells a story of him building relationships with these foreign entities, foreign groups, groups close to the leaders of foreign countries, in particular Turkey, and that happened over time. There was this quid pro quo. So he received these perks and the money for his campaign, and in return, he pressured the fire chief to approve a building. This is a very expensive proposition, a huge high-rise that did not pass the fire code. It failed the fire code. And according to the indictment, Adams told then fire chief that he would lose his job if he did not approve this building. So that level of detail is all laid out in this indictment.
And that's what makes this so stunning. We're seeing a replay of the mayor making these denials that we're now analyzing on the left of our screen. On the right, it's the federal government's evidence. I think they have an image of the tower in question and a timeline. They say, I'll just read the first line from their indictment, Eric Adams, for nearly a decade, sought to accept improper valuable benefits such as luxury international travel, including from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. This isn't about one check, one incident, or one gift. They're laying out an entire conspiratorial scheme. And a reminder for our viewers, as soon as that press conference begins, we'll bring it to you live. What else jumps out at you as far as the specificity of the charges and what we've been able to confirm at CBS News?
What's interesting to me is we're looking at a mayor who rose up through the ranks. He was a police officer years, rose into a leadership role at NYPD, stepped in as a borough president, and then ultimately mayor of New York City. He was very flamboyant, loved to be out and about town, man about town, and yet for most politicians, there's this gut check of if this foreign government is giving me this money or these perks, you kind of just have a gut feeling, okay, wait, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. There are very clear campaign finance laws that restrict foreign governments influencing our elections. Now, it seems to me that he was aware from this indictment, I take away, he was aware that there was something fishy about it, and the indictment says that he worked to conceal the gifts and to conceal the perks and the money and this sort of straw operation that he had where different people would give a little bit of money, but it was really going back to illegal campaign donations.
So it's both the crime and the cover-up.
Yes.
We see some individuals just approaching the podium. We'll bring that to our viewers as soon as they speak.